So some folks have asked me what a typical day on the trail looks like. So my normal schedule kind of looks like this. I usually wake up 5 o'clock in the morning, depending on how cold it is. I did mention that 36-degree night the other night ago. I don't get out of my hammock at 5 o'clock, but I wake up at 5. I usually try to get out of the hammock at 5:15, use the restroom, and then I'll come back, put my sleeping bag away, and then I'll grab my food and I'll eat it, usually sitting in the hammock, so I've got a seat. I'll put my hammock away, which I usually consider the most time-consuming part of the morning, even though it's really not. It's just a pain in the butt to try to fold everything back into that little sack. When I'm done doing that, I'll get changed and then filter water. So y'all have probably noticed in most of my videos I'm wearing this shirt. These are my camp clothes and my house clothes when we stop in a hostel somewhere, because they're usually clean. Well, clean-ish. I mean, I don't hike in them. I don't hike in it, but it's still freaking dirty and smells bad. So it's my sleeping clothes. So I do wash when I get to hostels. So, and so I change, start putting my stuff away. At that point, I'll wake up Fish Fry and I'll tell him where I want him to meet me for lunch. And then that whole process takes about an hour, just trying to get yourself going, using the restroom, eating, packing everything away, getting and filtering water. That whole process takes about an hour. The longest it's taken me is 1 hour and 15. The shortest it's taken me was 3 days ago, was 35 minutes. So if you know what you're doing and it's just like, all right, now I've got a better system, you can do it faster. But a lot of times you're kind of waking yourself up too. And a normal breakfast for me is Pop-Tarts. Just something just to get some sugar in your system, kind of wake you up. And then I'll always have at least 1 liter of water with some Gatorade to try to get some sugar. And then off to the trail. So I'll wake Fish Fry up, like I said, and I'll go. And then I usually hike at about a 2-mile-an-hour pace now. When I first got on the trail, when you're hiking with a 40-pound pack, you're not used to it. It takes a while. So I was hiking at about a 1-mile-an-hour pace, got up to a mile and a half, and now I'm at about a 2. So if I leave at 6:30, I try to get 10 or 12 miles in before lunch, and which is usually about the time that Fish Fry catches me. So he'll wake up, do some fishing. Usually we try to stay by running water, because we don't like to hear each other get up during the middle of the night. We don't like the snoring, it's whatever. We don't want to hear other people. So we like being near water. So he'll get up, he'll fish, and usually get on the trail about 9 o'clock. Catches me about 12:30 or 1. He just hikes a lot faster than I do, which is fine. I mean, he does what he does. He'll catch up to me. We'll eat. I'll continue on. A lot of times he'll stay for longer breaks because I hike at a 2-mile-an-hour pace. He hikes between a 3 and a 3.5. So he can afford to take the longer breaks. That's fine. He's described me as a freight train. I pick one speed and I move at it for 12 to 16 hours. So that's usually how long we'll hike during the day. Of course, it depends how far we go. We've been doing 13s to 15s based on the terrain. I said in my last video, we've now been doing more 18s to 22s. We're going to try to turn those 20s to 18s to 22s to 20s to 24s. So, 2-mile-an-hour pace, hike from 6 to 6, 6:15 to 6:30. Our only issue now is we're going to be facing, it's just going to get darker earlier. So we'll be hiking in the dark in the morning. We do hike in headlamps, and we'll hike in the evening as well. That's okay. I'm not crazy about it, but if it gets us to a better spot, it's miles that we don't have to hike the next day. So for lunch, we'll usually do some sort of meat, beef jerky or something like that, or a tuna packet. It's still a cold lunch. Do another liter of water with some Gatorade or some electrolyte Mio type mix. I like the Great Value ones, the electrolyte mix from Walmart, because they're cheap and they last like 4 days. And let's see, we'll do a sweet, some trail mix. Lunches are usually pretty big because you've burned a lot of calories and you need the energy to get you through the rest of the afternoon. And so usually try to break lunch after 30 to 45 minutes and it's my time to go again. So like I said, I'm back on the trail. Of course, I prefer afternoons. I don't have to hike hills, so that means I've gotten the tough stuff out in the morning. And in the afternoon, you're just moving a little slower, a little sluggish. Of course, that's depending on the temperature too. It's just been brutally humid here the last couple of days. So, again, we think the terrain's going to get better. So, by the time we make camp, so now we've made camp. Fish Fry and I beat each other, 50% of the time, and how we do it is we'll mark a spot on the trail with a yellow tent stake about that big. We'll mark the side of the trail, so that's where we know if the other one has gotten off. We go, okay, that's our sign to each other. So we'll get off there, set our hammocks up, change into dry clothes, hang our wet clothes. Fish Fry will start the fire, and then I make dinner. Usually dinner is hot. We've done cool things like tacos. We've done other types of meat. A lot of times it's like military style MREs. A lot of people do ramen. We've done some of that, some ramen. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Jerky, for the ramen and the freeze-dried mushrooms. So it's just good to have something hot at the end of the day is really what it is, to it's a good morale boost as you're cooling down. So see, we'll get water. Usually hiker midnight is a term that you may hear me use again. So hiker midnight means dark. So right now hiker midnight's at about 7:45. So we don't usually go to sleep at 7:45, but I'm in my hammock by 8 o'clock. And then I'm usually asleep by 9. So definitely a different schedule than any time else I've lived ever, but hike for 12 hours a day, you need that much sleep. So the rule I try to do is I will not get out of my hammock until 11 hours after I've arrived the night before. So if I arrive at 6:30 the night before, I won't get out of my hammock until 5:30 the next morning. Again, as we get less light, that rule's probably going to change, but it is what it is. That's usually what the daily schedule's like. It's a lot of hiking, not too many breaks. Usually my big one's for lunch. Maybe take one in the morning, in the afternoon, just kind of rest the shoulders, rest the feet, rest the legs, get some new blood in them, put your legs up even if you're on the trail, look like a goofball. And then, nice dinner, kind of spread out. Maybe we'll have a campfire. Fish Fry will make one for us while I'm making dinner. He'll fish in the evenings. Write in your journal, that sort of thing. So just do whatever you can to relax, read a book, whatever you got to do. So that's a typical day in the life of me, the hiker, tree breaker. So yeah, that's it. Thanks.